The nature of your work may be fixed, but is your experience of it? Rockefeller's Letter 3 forces us to confront the profound subjectivity of our professional lives. He argues that the difference between a fulfilling career and a soul-crushing grind lies not solely in the job itself, but in the internal narrative we construct around it. We'll dissect this concept, exploring how intrinsic motivation, a sense of purpose, and a conscious shift in perspective can transform even the most mundane tasks into sources of satisfaction and personal growth. Get ready to embark on a journey of self-reflection that could redefine your relationship with your work. Letter 3 commences with a compelling and allegorical narrative designed to illustrate a profound philosophical point about the nature of work and its role in human fulfillment. The story unfolds in a fantastical setting, an idealized afterlife where a man finds himself transported to a realm of unparalleled pleasure and gratification. Upon his arrival, he is greeted by a figure resembling a waiter, who extends an offer of limitless indulgence. "Sir, do you have any needs? Here, you can have everything you want, delicious food, all possible forms of entertainment, and all kinds of pastimes. Among them are many beautiful young women whom you can enjoy as you please." This initial depiction presents a scene of unrestrained hedonism, catering to every conceivable desire. The man's immediate response is one of astonished delight. He marvels at the realization that this experience surpasses even his most extravagant worldly aspiration. For a period, he fully embraces the offered pleasures, immersing himself in the consumption of exquisite food and the pursuit of various forms of amusement. However, this initial state of bliss proves to be transient. As time passes, the man experiences a growing sense of ennui and dissatisfaction. He approaches the waiter, expressing his boredom and articulating a fundamental human need. "I am bored with all of this, and I need to do something. Can you find me a job to do?" The waiter's unexpected and emphatic denial. "Sorry, my sir. This is the only thing we can't do for you here. There is no work here for you," delivers a significant counterpoint to the preceding portrayal of paradise. This revelation, that even in a realm of boundless pleasure, the absence of purposeful activity constitutes a deficiency, triggers a powerful wave of frustration in the man, culminating in his dramatic declaration, "This is really bad. Then I will just stay in hell." The narrative concludes with the waiter's gentle yet profoundly ironic response, "Where do you think you're at?" The implication is clear and deeply unsettling. The man's subjective experience of this supposed paradise, devoid of meaningful engagement and productive contribution, has transformed it into a form of psychological torment, a hell of his making. Rockefeller then directly connects this evocative allegory to his own deeply held beliefs and his paternal advice to his son, John Jr. "John, this very humorous fable tells me that losing work means losing happiness. It is regrettable that some people only realize this after being unemployed, which is very unfortunate." Rockefeller's interpretation underscores the fundamental human need for purposeful activity and a sense of contribution. He suggests that work, in its broadest sense, is not merely a means of economic sustenance but a crucial element of human well-being, a vital source of personal fulfillment, and a key ingredient in the pursuit of genuine happiness. The fable functions as a cautionary narrative, illustrating the potential for even the most opulent and pleasurable circumstances to devolve into a state of suffering in the absence of a sense of purpose, say in the opportunity to exercise one's skills and abilities in a meaningful way. The tale reflects a philosophical perspective that values productivity and contribution as essential to a flourishing human life, a view that has echoes in various ethical and economic theories that emphasize the importance of purpose and agency. Rockefeller proceeds to draw a direct connection between the preceding allegory and his understanding of the role of work in a fulfilling life. He begins by making a personal observation about his career trajectory, stating that he has been fortunate enough to experience continuous employment. However, he immediately reframes his achievement as more than mere good fortune, attributing it to his perspective on labor. He explains that his relationship with work has not been characterized by drudgery, but rather by the discovery of inherent satisfaction in the process itself. This personal testament underscores his belief that work, when approached with the right mindset, can be a source of profound contentment. He then expands on this individual experience to articulate a broader philosophy regarding the significance of work in human existence. Rockefeller argues that its value transcends its function as a means of sustenance, asserting that work serves as a cornerstone of societal and economic development. He elevates it to a fundamental building block, stating that work is the foundation upon which all commercial activity is constructed, the wellspring from which prosperity flows, and the catalyst that shapes intellectual and creative achievement. This viewpoint emphasizes the active and generative power of human labor, positioning it as an essential driver of progress. The context of the Gilded Age, with its rapid industrial expansion, likely influenced this perspective, as Rockefeller himself was a key figure in that transformative era. Furthermore, Rockefeller contends that the influence of work extends across generational lines, acting as a powerful motivator for continuous advancement. He observes that the pursuit of work instills in younger generations a drive to surpass the accomplishments of their forebears, regardless of their inherited wealth or social standing. This reflects the core American ideal of upward mobility, where individual effort is considered the primary determinant of success, rather than inherited privilege. He also underscores the universality of work's contribution to human well-being, stating that even in its most humble manifestations, productive activity provides a foundational sense of purpose and contributes to overall happiness. This perspective acknowledges the dignity inherent in all forms of labor and their role in fostering a sense of individual worth. Rockefeller concludes the segment by employing a vivid metaphor, stating that meaningful employment serves to enrich the human experience, adding depth and nuance to life. This analogy effectively conveys the idea that work provides a sense of engagement and accomplishment that enhances overall life satisfaction. However, he introduces a crucial qualification, emphasizing the importance of intrinsic motivation. To unlock work's most profound rewards and achieve its most significant outcomes, individuals must cultivate a genuine affinity for their endeavors. This assertion highlights the critical role of passion and dedication in maximizing both personal fulfillment and professional success. He then transitions to address a common perception about the demands of achieving enormous success. Rockefeller acknowledges the widespread notion that attaining the highest levels of achievement requires substantial personal sacrifice and hardship, a concept frequently encountered in the business narratives of his time. However, he offers a contrasting perspective, drawn from his observations. Over time, I've come to recognize that many individuals who ascend to positions of prominence do not necessarily pay a heavy personal toll. Instead, their dedication stems from a deep-seated enjoyment of their work. He concludes this reflection with a forceful affirmation of the power of commitment and inherent enjoyment in one's profession. Those who rise to prominence in any field demonstrate a profound commitment to their craft and a dedicated work ethic. The key to their success lies in a genuine love for their chosen path, which fuels their perseverance and ultimately leads to natural and sustained achievement. This assertion underscores the vital role of intrinsic motivation and genuine passion as drivers of both personal satisfaction and professional attainment. Rockefeller continues to expound on the significance of a positive attitude toward work, framing it as a matter of conviction. He states, "Loving work is a belief." This phrasing elevates the concept of enjoying one's labor from a mere preference to a fundamental principle, akin to a guiding faith. He further suggests that this positive orientation can be a powerful force for overcoming challenges, stating, "With this faith, we can heave the desperate mountain into a rock of hope." This metaphorical language implies that a positive work ethic can transform seemingly insurmountable obstacles into sources of optimism and potential. To reinforce this sentiment, Rockefeller invokes the perspective of an artist, paraphrasing the idea that while transient difficulties, pain will eventually fade, the enduring value of one's creative output, beauty, will persist. This artistic analogy serves to highlight the lasting significance of contributing meaningfully through one's work, suggesting that it provides a form of enduring value that transcends temporary hardships. Rockefeller then shifts his focus to address what he perceives as a detrimental attitude in some individuals, particularly concerning career aspiration. He observes that some people are obviously not smart enough in their approach to employment, characterizing them as having ambitions but are too picky about their work. He criticizes their tendency to constantly seek an idealized employment situation, stating that they are always looking for a perfect employer or job. He contrasts this idealistic pursuit with the practical realities of the employer-employee relationship. He asserts that employers prioritize certain fundamental qualities in their workforce. The fact is that employers need punctual, honest, and hard-working employees. This argument emphasizes the importance of reliability, integrity, and diligence as foundational virtues in the workplace. Rockefeller further argues that opportunities for advancement and increased compensation are not distributed indiscriminately. Instead, they are strategically allocated to those who demonstrate exceptional commitment and productivity. They only leaves the salary increase and promotion opportunities to those employees who work hard, are very loyal, extra zealous, and spend more time doing things because they are running a business, not a charity. They need those who are more valuable. This statement reflects a pragmatic business perspective, where employee value is directly linked to contribution and dedication to the organization's goals. Rockefeller proceeds to analyze the human perspective on work, contrasting productive and non-productive work ethics. He begins by expressing his belief that a positive approach to one's labor is not merely a beneficial attitude, but rather a fundamental conviction. He frames the act of loving work as a kind of faith, suggesting that it possesses the power to transform seemingly insurmountable challenges into opportunities for progress. It's as if a positive engagement with one's tasks has the potential to reshape one's reality. He uses a vivid artistic analogy to reinforce this idea, implying that work-related issues are fleeting, but the worth of what one produces is enduring. He then shifts his focus to critique what he perceives as a flawed approach to career advancement, particularly among those who, despite possessing ambition, exhibit excessive pickiness regarding employment. He characterizes this behavior as a relentless pursuit of an idealized job or employer, a quest that, in his view, often obscures the practical realities of the working world. Rockefeller then emphasizes the employer's perspective, highlighting the essential qualities that are typically sought in employees. He underscores the fundamental importance of reliability, integrity, and a strong work ethic, suggesting that these attributes are the bedrock of a productive and mutually beneficial employer-employee relationship. It's not about the employer's feelings, it is about the employee's contribution to the company. He further comments on the dynamics of career progression and financial reward, arguing that these are not distributed randomly. Instead, he presents a view where advancement and increased compensation are directly tied to an employee's demonstrated commitment, loyalty, and productivity. He frames this perspective as a practical business imperative, suggesting that enterprises, operating under market pressures, prioritize and reward those individuals who contribute most significantly to their overall success. Rockefeller continues his reflection on the nature of work, this time delving into his personal experiences and contrasting them with the perspectives of some laborers. He begins by recalling his own entry into the workforce, emphasizing that his initial employment was not merely a means to an end but a crucial phase in his professional development. He states that his early experience as a bookkeeper proved to be an invaluable training ground, providing him with foundational knowledge and skills that would shape his future success. To provide context, it's important to understand the role of bookkeeping in the 19th century. In a time of expanding industrialization and increasingly complex business transactions, meticulous record-keeping is essential. Bookkeepers held a position of responsibility, as they managed the financial heart of an enterprise. This early exposure to the precision and discipline of accounting likely influenced Rockefeller's later emphasis on efficiency and cost control. He then describes the specific environment of his first job, the Hewitt and Tuttle Company, where I commenced my career, was a firm engaged in diverse commercial activities, encompassing commodity trading, iron ore ventures, and, significantly, the operation of railways and telegraphs, technologies that were then revolutionizing the American economy. This description highlights the dynamic and transformative nature of the 19th century business landscape, where advancements in transportation and communication were reshaping industries and creating new opportunities. Rockefeller's involvement with these cutting-edge sectors likely broadened his understanding of large-scale operations and national markets. Rockefeller underscores the formative impact of this experience, explaining that it provided me with a profound introduction to the intricacies and vast scope of the commercial world, instilled in me a deep appreciation for the importance of accurate financial records and data analysis, and offered invaluable insights into the strategic significance of the burgeoning transportation industry. He further emphasizes that this early employment served as a crucible, forging essential business acumen and cultivating qualities of discipline, organization, and analytical thinking that would prove indispensable in my subsequent endeavors. He concludes this personal reflection by acknowledging the lasting influence of his formative years. I maintain a deep and enduring sense of gratitude for the 3.5 years I spent at Hewitt and Tuttle, recognizing that this period laid a critical foundation for my future professional pursuits and likely prevented me from pursuing less advantageous paths. Rockefeller then sharply contrasts his own positive experience and sense of gratitude with what he perceives as a negative and counterproductive attitude among some segments of the working class. He references the sentiments of those who express resentment towards their employers, articulating a common grievance of the time. I have never subscribed to the view, he asserts, that characterizes the employer-employee relationship as inherently exploitative, where workers are mere instruments of profit, while employers luxuriate in undeserved wealth. This statement directly addresses the rising tensions between labor and capital during the Gilded Age, a period marked by significant wealth inequality and frequent labor disputes. He then presents a series of rhetorical questions designed to challenge this perspective. It is important to ask, who is it that provides the opportunity for employment? Who creates the means for individuals to establish and support their families? And who fosters an environment where personal and professional development is possible? These questions reflect a more paternalistic view of the employer's role, emphasizing the opportunities provided rather than solely focusing on the potential for exploitation. Rockefeller concludes this line of thought with a direct and somewhat confrontational challenge. If one genuinely believes that their employer is engaged in exploitative practices, then why not exercise the inherent freedom of choice and seek alternative means of employment? This statement, while reflecting a strong belief in individual agency, also highlights the complexities of the labor market during the Gilded Age, where workers often face limited options and significant economic pressures. Rockefeller continues his exploration of the appropriate mindset toward work, employing a powerful allegory to illuminate its significance. He introduces the concept of an internal workbench, a metaphorical representation of an individual's attitudes and beliefs that profoundly shape their perception and experience of their occupation. He posits that this internal workbench, this set of beliefs and values about work, exerts a critical influence on whether one views their professional life as a source of fulfillment or a burden to endure. To illustrate this core idea, Rockefeller presents a compelling narrative, the tale of three stonecutters engaged in the identical task of shaping stone. He uses their contrasting perspectives to highlight the pivotal role of finding meaning and purpose in one's daily labor. This narrative device, a common literary tool, serves to make his point more accessible and memorable. The first stonecutter, when questioned about his activity, responds with a sense of weary resignation, focusing solely on the immediate physical demands of the task and the anticipation of its completio. And his response, characterized by a focus on the arduous nature of the work and the desire for its cessation, reveals a perception of labor as a mere chore, a necessary evil to be endured. Rockefeller implies that this individual's vocabulary is likely to be replete with expressions of fatigue and discontent. The second stonecutter offers a slightly more elevated perspective, acknowledging the economic necessity of his labor and its role in providing for his family. While this individual recognizes the utility of his work in securing financial stability, Rockefeller suggests that his primary motivation remains largely extrinsic, driven by the obligation to fulfill familial responsibilities rather than deriving intrinsic satisfaction from the work itself. This viewpoint, in Rockefeller's analysis, tends to be associated with a preoccupation with the financial pressures of providing for dependents. In stark contrast, the third stonecutter, when asked about his work, pauses his physical labor and responds with visible pride and a clear sense of artistic purpose. He articulates a vision of his contribution as the creation of a work of art, demonstrating a profound connection to the greater significance of his endeavors. Rockefeller suggests that this individual embodies a mindset where work is approached with a sense of creative investment and a deep appreciation for its inherent value. Such individuals, he implies, are likely to frequently express sentiments regarding the meaningfulness of their occupation. Rockefeller employs this allegory to underscore the transformative power of perspective in shaping one's experience of work. He suggests that individuals who cultivate a sense of purpose and find intrinsic value in their daily activities are more likely to derive genuine satisfaction and a sense of accomplishment, even when confronted with challenging or repetitive tasks. This perspective aligns with concepts in modern psychology that emphasize the importance of finding meaning in one's work for overall well-being and job satisfaction. This segment of the letter, therefore, transcends a simple discussion of job satisfaction. It delves into the psychological underpinnings of work and its capacity to enrich or diminish the human experience. It highlights the enduring importance of connecting one's labor to a larger sense of purpose, a theme that resonates across various philosophical and economic theories concerning human motivation and fulfillment. Rockefeller concludes his discourse on the relationship between work and personal fulfillment by emphasizing the crucial role of individual perception in shaping one's experience of their professional life. He posits that the subjective lens through which we view our daily tasks and responsibilities exerts a powerful influence, fundamentally determining whether we perceive work as a source of satisfaction and growth or as a burdensome and joyless obligation. He frames this concept in a manner that approaches a philosophical examination of individual agency, stating that the subjective experience of heaven or hell within the context of one's profession, our life is, to a significant extent, a construct of our own mental framework. This assertion suggests that the emotional and psychological qualities we attribute to our jobs are not solely inherent in the nature of the work itself, but rather are significantly molded by our attitudes, beliefs, and expectations. This perspective aligns with psychological theories, such as cognitive appraisal theory, which explores how individuals' interpretations of events and situations influence their emotional responses. Rockefeller further elaborates on the profound impact of finding meaning and purpose in one's work. He contends that when individuals succeed in imbuing their professional roles with a sense of personal significance and connection to a larger purpose, they cultivate the capacity to derive genuine satisfaction from even the most routine or seemingly inconsequential tasks, and they cultivate a profound sense of accomplishment, irrespective of the magnitude or scale of their self-defined professional objectives. This perspective underscores the vital importance of intrinsic motivation, the internal drive that stems from finding enjoyment and fulfillment in the work itself, rather than solely relying on external rewards such as financial compensation or recognition. Conversely, Rockefeller issues a cautionary note regarding the detrimental consequences of a negative or disengaged approach to one's responsibilities. He states that the absence of enthusiasm or intrinsic interest in one's assigned duties has the potential to transform even the simplest and least demanding activities into arduous and monotonous chores, sapping energy and diminishing overall well-being. He highlights the self-perpetuating nature of this negative mindset, suggesting that when individuals approach their work with reluctance or perceive it solely as a source of drudgery, they are likely to experience a pervasive sense of mental and emotional exhaustion, often disproportionate to the actual physical exertion involved. This aligns with psychological studies on burnout and workplace stress, which emphasize the negative impact of chronic negativity and a lack of engagement on employee well-being and productivity. Rockefeller succinctly encapsulates the central principle in a powerful dichotomy. If one chooses to perceive work as a source of personal investment, intellectual stimulation, and inherent satisfaction, life is likely to assume the qualities of a fulfilling and positive experience. However, if work is viewed solely as an unavoidable obligation, a mere means to an end, life is likely to be characterized by feelings of dissatisfaction, negativity, and a diminished sense of purpose. This stark contrast effectively underscores the profound influence of an individual's work attitude on their overall sense of fulfillment and happiness. Rockefeller concludes this reflection by directly addressing his son, John Jr., with a personal exhortation for introspection and a call to cultivate a more positive and engaged approach to professional life. Therefore, I strongly encourage you to engage in a careful and diligent examination of your personal perspective on your professional endeavors, recognizing that cultivating a mindset of enthusiasm, purposefulness, and active engagement will undoubtedly contribute significantly to your own personal happiness and, equally importantly, to the overall well-being and productivity of your colleagues and associates within the workplace. This concluding advice emphasizes the interconnectedness of individual attitude and its broader impact on both personal fulfillment and interpersonal dynamics within the professional sphere. Rockefeller continues his exploration of the relationship between work and personal fulfillment by emphasizing the crucial role of individual perspective. He articulates the idea that the subjective experience of one's professional life is a powerful determinant of whether that life is perceived as a source of joy and accomplishment, or as a burden to be endured. He frames this concept in a manner that approaches a philosophical consideration of individual agency, asserting that the perception of work as either a positive or negative force is, to a significant extent, a construct of our own mental framework. This viewpoint suggests that the emotional and psychological qualities we associate with our jobs are not solely intrinsic to the nature of the work itself, but rather are significantly shaped by our own attitudes, beliefs, and expectations. This perspective finds resonance with psychological theories, such as cognitive appraisal theory, which explores how individuals' interpretations of events and situations influence their emotional responses and overall well-being. Rockefeller further elaborates on the transformative power of finding meaning and purpose in one's daily tasks. He contends that when individuals succeed in imbuing their professional roles with a sense of personal significance and connection to a larger objective, they cultivate the capacity to derive genuine satisfaction from even the most routine and seemingly mundane activities, and they are capable of experiencing a profound sense of accomplishment, regardless of the scale or scope of their self-defined professional ambitions. This viewpoint underscores the importance of intrinsic motivation, the internal drive that stems from finding enjoyment and fulfillment in the work itself, rather than relying solely on external rewards such as financial compensation or social recognition. Conversely, Rockefeller issues a cautionary note regarding the detrimental effects of a negative or disengaged approach to one's responsibilities. He states that the absence of enthusiasm or a lack of intrinsic interest in one's assigned duties can have a corrosive effect, transforming even the simplest and least demanding tasks into arduous and monotonous chores, ultimately leading to a pervasive feeling of mental and emotional exhaustion, often disproportionate to the actual physical exertion involved. This aligns with contemporary research in psychology and organizational behavior, which has extensively documented the phenomenon of burnout and the negative consequences of prolonged disengagement from work. He then encapsulates the central principle in a concise and impactful statement, presenting a stark dichotomy. If one chooses to perceive work as a source of personal investment, intellectual stimulation, and inherent satisfaction, life is likely to assume the qualities of a fulfilling and enriching experience. However, if work is viewed solely as an unavoidable obligation, a mere exchange of time for compensation, life is likely to be characterized by feelings of dissatisfaction, negativity, and a diminished sense of purpose. This assertion effectively underscores the profound influence of an individual's work attitude on their overall sense of well-being and life satisfaction. Rockefeller concludes this reflection by directly addressing his son, John Jr., with a personal exhortation for self-reflection and a call to cultivate a more positive and engaged approach to professio no life. Therefore, I strongly encourage you to diligently engage in a thorough examination of your personal perspective on your professional endeavors, recognizing that cultivating a mindset of enthusiasm, purposefulness, and active engagement will undoubtedly contribute significantly to your own personal happiness and, equally importantly, to the overall well-being, morale, and productivity of your colleagues and associates within the workplace. This final advice emphasizes the interconnectedness of individual attitude and its broader impact on both personal fulfillment and the dynamics of the professional environment. These questions are meant to be used for reflection. Rockefeller argues that a life devoid of work can be a form of hell. Do you agree with this? Why or why not? How does your experience with work or the lack thereof shape your perspective? Rockefeller emphasizes the importance of finding infinite happiness from work. What are some strategies for cultivating a more positive and engaged mindset toward your job? He contrasts the different attitudes of the stonemasons. Which stonemason do you most identify with, and why? How can we shift our perspective to find more meaning in our work? Rockefeller believes that work is the foundation of all businesses, the source of prosperity, and the shaper of genius. Do you think this statement holds true in today's economy, with the rise of automation and artificial intelligence? Rockefeller suggests that a positive work attitude benefits not only the individual but also those around them. How does your attitude at work influence your colleagues and the overall work environment? He says, the best reward for our effort is not what we get, but who we become. What does this statement mean to you in terms of personal and professional growth? In your opinion, what are the key factors that contribute to a fulfilling and meaningful work life? How can individuals and employers work together to create a more positive and purpose-driven work experience? Thank you for joining our exploration of Rockefeller's perspective on the profound impact of work in Letter 3. We'd love to hear your thoughts and engage in a meaningful discussion. Which of Rockefeller's ideas resonated most with you? Share your reflections in the comments below. Do you have any personal stories or experiences that relate to the concepts discussed in this video? We encourage you to share them with the community. If you found this analysis insightful, please give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us create more content like this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated on our ongoing series, where we continue to delve into Rockefeller's letters. In our next video, we'll be moving on to Letter 4, where we'll explore another facet of Rockefeller's wisdom and its relevance to our modern lives. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it.